So you have an idea for a screenplay, but you don't know what to do with it. I can help you with that. Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Regine Caesar, and on today's video we're going to be discussing how to take an idea that you have for a screenplay and making it a functional reality on the page. Before we jump into today's video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell below so that you never miss an upload. One of the first things to consider is if you want to write for film or do you want to write for television. Each one of these has its own pros and cons as they both have different structures that they follow. If you're writing a film, do you want to do a full-length feature or do you want to make a short film? If you're doing a television, are you comfortable writing an hour-long drama or do you see your idea as more like a 30-minute sitcom? Again, they both have different structures that they follow and certain promises that need to be paid off. So you really want to take a second and consider what would be the best fit for your idea. Depending on the initial format that you choose, it'll also give you a really great insight very quickly on the type of tone that your show or that your film may take on. A lot of times, more hour-long dramas tend to be a lot more serious. They tend to be a lot more serious in nature, whereas sitcoms are a lot more lighthearted. They're fun. They have a lot of jokes. So you get an opportunity to show off your lighthearted, playful side. Also, what I would say is to make sure that when you go to figure out the logistics of what it is that you want to write, that you stay open to the idea of the idea where you want to put it initially may be better served somewhere else. So you may decide that your full-length feature may be better suited as a mini-series on Netflix. Also, something else to consider as you start to do the logistics is that you may have an idea that you may see on ABC, network television. And as you go through it, you feel like, well, I really want to get down a little bit deeper, make it a little more grittier. So I feel like I may want to do network, and I mean, not network, a cable show like Snowfall. If you kind of think about it, it's like you wouldn't want to see Snowfall on ABC. That's two totally different tones and how it feels. So it's a much better fit if you saw Snowfall on FX as opposed to ABC. So keep those kind of things in mind just as you go through it, just to make sure that wherever you place your idea, if it feels comfortable in the home that it's going to be in. Now, outlining is not a requirement. It is something that we do, but it's not something that you have to do. It's not wrong if you outline. It's not right if you don't outline. I will say though, if you are interested in being staffed and making a career as a television writer, that you do need to be very, very comfortable with flexing the muscle of writing outlines and making those outlines as detailed as possible, because that is how a lot of television shows are run. So if that's something that you want to do and you want to practice with that, with the works that you're not trying to get into fellowships with or trying to get a job with, this is the perfect opportunity to do so. I apologize. So the next thing you want to do is pick a side and figure out if you want to outline your next script or if you don't want to outline it. But again, like I said, make sure that you're very clear and that you stand on the side. You pick whatever side. You see the side that you do all the way through. Regardless of your choice, whatever option you choose, make sure you see it through. The reason is, when you start off a screenplay with a structured guidepost and then at the end you decide to abandon it, your story reflects that. Your characters start going off into the wind, nothing really feels resolved, and that's not what you want to happen. Whoever's reading your script, you want them to feel that they are going through an entire, complete, well thought out screenplay all the way through. You never want to give anybody the impression that, they just can't see things all the way through, or that you had no idea what to do anymore. So whatever you choose to do, go all the way through it and your script will be so much better for it. One of the best ways to put your idea in action is to be watching the television shows that came before it. Find the shows or the films that do or did exactly what it is that you want to do, or as close to what you want to do as possible, and then go from there and seeing what elements that you really liked and what are the elements that you didn't like. Now, in watching old television shows that do what you want to do, you really do get a chance to see what kind of characters that you need for your world. For example, when you watch a cop show, there's always a detective, the partner of the detective or sergeant, somebody they answer to. You have a coroner, you've got forensics, there's always a suspect, and there's always, people who throw them off. There are always those steady people that you have to build around and that you always have to interact with, that moves your episode and your series forward. Another thing you may consider is the things that you don't like about a series. I noticed that when there are women in television, they have these really great opportunities to move on to something bigger in their careers, and all of a sudden this pregnancy just comes out the clear blue sky. It annoys the hell out of me, and so I make it a point to never have just unwanted pregnancies in my scripts because that bothers me. You can do the same. When you start to write, you will set up the rules and the restrictions on your characters in the world, how they interact, who they don't interact with, and why. Those are the things that when you watch older shows, you'll see how older shows were able to manage those sort of things and how they were able to move with the times, especially because the messages we would go for now, especially like with feminism, would not technically be the same thing in, say, the 80s or the 90s, or they would handle it very differently. So also another consideration, when the time period that you're writing for, what feels right, what was true, and how would that resonate with the audiences of today? They'll always give you great ideas. Don't discount the past thinking, well, nobody watches that, nobody cares about that. There's always some really good information and inspiration in the past. One of the biggest things I can tell you is that screenwriting is not something that you learn by reading about or seeing about. Even though you're watching this video, thank you. You have to read and you have to do. Screenwriting is best learned by doing. You learn formatting that way. You learn structure that way. You'll learn to see what makes it from the page, from the TV screen. Because you'll notice that not everything that you see on a page makes it onto a screen. There could be very, very many reasons why. Time durations is a big thing, but you'll also learn to see how writers write each one of the characters, how they make them very distinctive on a page for the actors to bring to life. A lot of the screenplays are available online. And I will say one of the best resources for looking for a screenplay is Reddit. Do not sleep on Reddit. If you just go to Google in the screenwriting subreddit and put in what you're looking for, 7 or 8 times out of 10 is usually there. If you're looking to read one of the more prestige dramas being shows that are nominated for awards during award seasons like Game of Thrones, The Good Wife, Succession, and those kind of shows like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, those come around on probably about a month or so before the actual awards show hit, because they have to be sent in for consideration for whatever screenwriting category it is. When you go to find your screenplays, look for the ones that have not only just a pilot available, but also a couple of episodes into the season as well, or a couple of episodes into later seasons if they have them. The reason I say that is you want to read a pilot to see how characters were introduced and how the initial structure of the show was in the very beginning. And then later on, you want to see the evolution of the characters on the page and how that has transformed. For example, you may have a character in the pilot who didn't say very much, but things happen. They might have lost a parent or a child or something, and so now they have a lot to say. You want to get a good feel for how, as shows change, how that looks. Another example I give you, Scandal. In the first season of Scandal, it leaned more towards a procedural where Olivia always had a case of the week. You got to meet the B stories of, the case along with whatever's going on with Olivia Pope's life. And as the season progressed, you stopped seeing so much of the case of the week and more about Olivia's life. So when if you're able to get, say the pilot and say maybe episode two out of the second season, you'll see how it goes from a procedural structure more to like an episodic, and how that, if you're interested in doing something like that, then what that would look like for you. But if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Comment below on ways in which you turn your ideas into functional realities, and I'll see you next time.